Hello and welcome to something very different. And let me be honest with you, there are some things in life that are so petty that I simply just categorize them out of my life because they're not worth the effort, or they actually just make the person who did that action or said that thing actually look worse. And there's no point to me engaging in it in any reasonable manner. And there are just some things that you sit there and go, how pathetic are you? And in this case, we're going to talk about turning Sargon of Akkad into a slavering, butcherous, murderous psychopath as a world eater. And go, why? Why is this being indulged within our universe? Why is it being accepted? And why hasn't this person, in my personal opinion, been fired? And it's quite honestly one of those things in life where you sit there going, someone has never actually met a person with an opposing opinion, huh? Let alone a political opinion. My lord, don't let them know about Walt Disney's thoughts or opinions on things. Or hell, don't even let them know how he thought about toast. They might not be able to take these things. And I just sit there going, we're witnessing these people using the setting as a weapon to attack their political enemies, or at least so-called political enemies. And seeing it paid for and published, and it just makes the pettiness of the whole thing all the worse when you sit there and go, honestly, this is what you're paying for? It makes my arguments even better. I mean, I have to thank Games Workshop. Thank you. It makes it all the more clear the direction you're going in and how much you just disrespect almost everyone. Hell, you have a customer and you are turning them into a bad guy because one of your writers is having a pissy fit. Wow, what a wonderful gift you have given the community. Just amazing. I'm sure this contribution will be remembered for many generations from now as a petty, pathetic attempt at attacking someone. And I don't even necessarily agree with Sargon of Akkad. I don't have any ill will towards him, but I also don't hate the man. And I just think it is ridiculous for a corporation to even consider fostering an employee who is attacking an actual buying customer. Hello, let's talk about the main topics at this point. Community, something worth fighting for. It's a place to belong. It's a foundation in many cases to many hobbies and many, well, heck, societies. And it's where you will have the exact most influence in any given situation, especially when it comes to a hobby. You're going to be able to affect the most influence on others on that local level. And that's why I believe it's usually such a target, in that people understand that you can change the lore, but if the community refuses to accept it, it means nothing. And therefore, it's why they always attack the community in the ways that they do. But it also makes me sad because in a lot of regards, these communities are what can help a lot of people out. There are a lot of awkward young men who've been able to get into various wargaming groups and such, and actually be able to develop in a lot of ways to go and lead fairly successful lives and happy lives as well. It's got a lot of good for it, and I think that's where we should focus a lot of our energies. Not so much on if we can force the writers to do what we want, as much as just simply rejecting things. And this is where I think I'm going to encourage most people to focus primarily upon your community. The people that you game with, the people that you know, and the new people that come in to help develop something that's strong and enduring. Because you can play these games long after the company's gone, long after they're popular. Look at how Battletech survived for many, many years without basically any support in many ways. I remember when it was basically kind of just on life support, on the edge of death. And it was really the community that kept it alive. But it's also where you have to be aware that there are a lot of bad actors, and they will eagerly fling you out the second they think they have the advantage. And that's where you have to dig your heels in and say, no, I'm just going to object that because it's bad for the hobby. But if you want to have the most positive effect, it's going to be your local area. It's going to be your local group. It's going to be the people that you recruit in. And I would say focus very much on that, because you can do a lot of good and help the community and the hobby as a whole. So let's roll into what I'm talking about for this next little bit. And that is why I'm going to call choke point number 1. Community is the choke point number 1. If you can destroy the hobbies, the best way to do it is through the community, to basically uproot people who are the most ardent and care the most about it, and force them out. That way you can affect any change you want. So that's where I think you really need to focus on just outright rejecting it. Not because you hate anybody, but going, hey, look, you believe everything is political, and I'm going to reject your intrusion of politics. Therefore, I'm rejecting you. Not because I hate you, but because you're not going to be doing anything good for the hobby. And that might not make these people happy, and it definitely won't. But it's one of the most effective strategies to simply reject them and to reject these changes the company's made. Look at what happened with Helldivers 2. It really did have to come down to the community just outright objecting to the stupidity that Sony was trying to push on it. And that's why it's so important to understand the kind of people that are coming in. They're not here to be part of your hobby. They're here to conquer your hobby, to change it, to alter it into something else, like a romance novel. Oh gosh, all this war and stuff is boring. Let's get that romance in there, brah. Or into some kind of weird fetish or whatever thing that they're trying to push. I don't care if people like those things, but it's not what this is about. This hobby is not about that, and therefore I'm going to outright reject it. And that's really because lore rests upon the foundation that is the community. Lore has no value without a community that cares about it, that respects it, and more importantly, will not allow things in that damage it. You can ignore stupid stories. I mean, you can look at superhero storylines like Batman. There's a lot of Batman storylines that the community simply rejected, and they're not even spoke of. And that's the best way to handle it in a lot of ways, like the fanfic that I would call The Gathering Storm. So, that's one element of this. You do have to be aware of the people that are coming into these hobbies and trying to basically push things and go, okay, well, I'm going to simply reject that. You can see the door. You can get the hell out. And it's because this foundation is one of the ones that has to be destroyed. It has to crumble to gain any degree of true control over the lore. It doesn't matter if the people who make up the community, who are the buyers, who the people who can, when they decide to make this company suffer by simply refusing to buy a new release and letting GW have to absorb those costs, without those people, they can do anything they want. And therefore, it's the reason they always target those individuals, and why I think it's important to focus on the community. It is going to be the first thing attacked. Do not give up your hobby. Do not give up on the people that you play with, and don't give up on the things you love. Just simply reject those who want to do bad to it. So let me know how you feel about this video, and if you'd like to hear me talk about things like alternating turns, or activations, I believe is what it's actually called, or if you'd like to hear my opinions or my ideas of how the Primaris should have been handled. So thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.